Hello students, so today we will discuss about the types of elements. So on the basis of their properties, metal can be subdivided into three parts. One is metal, second one is non-metal, and the last is metalloids. So metal is an element that is malleable, ductile and conduct electricity. As we have discussed, non-metal just show the opposite property to the metal. So non-metals is an element that neither malleable nor ductile and does not conduct electricity. And at last, metalloids, which show some of the properties of metal and some of the properties of non-metals. These are the general properties, and now we will discuss all the properties of metal and non-metal in detail. Fine. So before going further, you just look out this periodic table. In this periodic table, you will see all the elements is divided into different colors like red, yellow and blue. So the red color, which is the largest area in this periodic table, shows the metals. So these all are the metals, and the blue color, which is the on the left side, is the non-metal area, and there are few are in the yellow color, which are the metalloids. So you can see all the elements lying in the periodic table can be divided into three parts like metal, non-metal as well as in metalloids. So let's take a look of the properties of metal first. So the first property is malleable. Metals are malleable. So what is malleable actually? Malleable means metal can be beaten into thin sheets with a hammer. So when a metal is beaten by a hammer, it can be converted into the thin sheets. So remember it, thin sheets without breaking. It will not break, it is just converted into the thin sheets. The best examples are gold and silver. They are best malleable metals. They are best malleable metals. Apart from this, say aluminium and copper are also the best malleable. Even if we just go through the properties of aluminium and copper, so aluminium, you must be heard about the aluminium foil. Aluminium foil is used in the packing of lots of things like chocolates and biscuits as well as cigarette foil. Apart from this, we are just using aluminium foil in the packing of our food at home. What about the copper? So copper, basically copper is used for making the utensils. Okay, at home we are using lots of utensils of copper. They are just beaten and just mold in such kind of utensils which we are using at our home. Apart from this, what about gold and silver? So gold and silver basically are used for making the foils. Foils means like silver foils is basically used for the decoration. For what decoration? Decoration of sweets. मिठाइयों के ऊपर जो है हम सिल्वर फॉयल का इस्तेमाल करते हैं. Some of the sweets we are also using the gold foil as well. So they can convert it into the foil with this property because they are showing malleable property. Fine. So this is very important property, and this is the characteristics property of the metal. So the next property is ductile. Metal can be torn into the wires, like thin wires. They can be converted into the thin wires. not all not all metal are equally ductile. They are not equally ductile means all the metal have different property of ductility. Fine. So like gold, the same way gold and silver are the best ductile metals. In for the sake of silver, we can say that the 200 milligram of silver can be drawn into 200 meter of wires. So it is very good property of the silver. Silver shows the best ductility property. Apart from this, aluminium and copper, in the same way, they are also show the property of ductile, and they can be converted into the wires. The electric wires which we are using at our home is mostly made up of copper and silver. Fine. Fine. And the third property is conductor of heat. Metals are the good conductor of heat. Means metal allow heat to pass through them easily. Fine. Then in this particular case, they have also, show different metals show different conductivity of heat. Like not all the metals are equal conductor. In the same way, silver is the best conductor of heat. Best conductor of heat. The heat can also be shown by the name of thermal. We can also use the thermal word in place of heat, so we can also call it the thermal conductivity. It's a scientific word. Okay? Then apart from silver, like silver is a good conductor, so we just to look out some poor conductor of electricity, heat, that is mercury. That this is the symbol of mercury. Mercury is the poor conductor of heat. As well as the lead. Lead is denoted by Pb. Lead is the poorest. Okay? Apart from this, silver, like copper, aluminium, both are the good conductor of heat, and with this property it is also used in the making utensils at our home. Utensils. Okay? Most of the utensils are made up of copper or aluminium because they are good conductor of heat, so they can easily pass the heat to the water or some other things which we are going to heat. So this is basically the part of conductor of heat, and it is also called the thermal conductivity. So the fourth property is good conductor of electricity. So metal are the good conductor of electricity, means the current is passed with very little resistance. Resistance means रुकावट, we can say. उनके अंदर से जब करंट पास होगा तो उसको बहुत कम रुकावट होगी, इजीली पास हो जाएगा, वेस्टेज कम होगा. सो अमंग दिस, सिल्वर अगेन द वेरी गुड conductor of electricity. We can say the heat as well, as we have already discussed about the silver. So apart from silver, copper, even gold and aluminium, they all are the good conductor of electricity. So for this property, means copper and aluminium are used in the electric wires because they are good conductor of electricity. In the same way, somehow there are also some metals which are not good conductor of electricity, like same way mercury is not good conductor, same way lead is not a good conductor of electricity. Clear? So the next property is metal are lustrous. What lustrous means? Lustrous means they are shining surface. Fine. Or if they are not shining surface, means they can be polished. उनको पॉलिश भी किया जा सकता है. This property is known as the lustrous property. So in this particular case, like again, like gold, copper, silver, we can see they have the good shining surface, or they can be polished. For these properties of gold and silver, they also use in the making ornaments like ज्वेलरी में यूज होती हैं ये इसकी यही प्रॉपर्टीज जो हम यूज करते हैं. देखते हैं कि जितने ऑर्नामेंट्स हैं, गहने हैं, उनके लिए हम गोल्ड एंड सिल्वर का ज़्यादातर इस्तेमाल करते हैं बिकॉज दे आर लस्ट्रस. लाइक सिल्वर, अगेन silver is the good reflector of light. Reflector of light means maximum to maximum light is reflected by the silver. So because of this reason it has very shining surface. Okay, so means lustrous means what? Means good reflection of light actually. The next property is metals are hard. Most of the metals are hard, but not equally hard. They are not equally hard. Like we can say iron, say aluminium, say copper. These are the hard metals. But apart from this, some of the metals are there, even they can cut with knife. Like sodium and potassium are the metal which are not hard. Even they can cut with a knife. So this property is the also very good property of the metals, but some exceptions are there. So the next property is metal are usually strong and have high tensile strength. Means metals can hold large weight without breaking. Different metals have different tensile strength. Like iron have very high tensile strength. This property of iron is used for making bridges which can hold large weights over 8. Fine. And heavy duty machineries like bulldozer and all. Fine. So iron have a very high tensile strength. But apart from this, some exceptions are always there. Same way, sodium and potassium does not have high tensile strength, so they are not using in such kind of purposes. So this is the another good property of metal. Most of the metals, means except, we can say except mercury, all the metals are solid at room temperature. They are solid at the room temperature. Fine. So mercury is only metal which is liquid. Okay. This property of mercury is used in the thermometer. So the next property is metal have high melting and boiling point. So mostly metal have high melting and boiling point. Like iron have very high melting point, that is 1535 degrees Celsius, very high. And the copper is also very high melting point, like 1083 degrees Celsius. So they are very hard metals and they have very high intermolecular forces of attraction. Due to this reason they have very high melting and boiling point. But not all metals are very high melting and boiling point. Some exceptions are always there, like. So the next property is density. So generally metal have high density, so but different metal have different density, but exceptions is always there. Exceptions is there, so we have to focus some exceptions also, like sodium and potassium have very low density comparatively other metals, so that's why they just store in the kerosene. Due to this property of the sodium and potassium, they store into the kerosene. Fine. So the next property is metal produce sound when we strike them, ringing sound actually. So this property is called sonorous. So this property of metal is used in the bells and the uh, most of the musical instrument. We are using this property of metals, like in so this is the general property of metal, like mostly metal are silver or gray color, except gold and copper, because copper is of a reddish brown color, and we know about the gold. Gold is having yellow color. So apart from gold and copper, mostly metal have the silver or gray color. Okay. So these are the properties of metal which we are using in our daily life, like in the form of utensil at our home, electrical wires, bridges, car, trucks. So lots of things are there where we are using metal in our daily life. So I think today we can't imagine our life without the uses of metal. So metals play a very important role in our life. Now we will move further for the properties of non-metals.